honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin of Radio 107.9 FM and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the Live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, the Honorable Omar Otley, to address you. Minister Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. I would like to wish the members of the media, my esteemed colleague, Council of Ministers, and the people listening via radio, social media, good morning. As of Tuesday, May 4th, CPS has reported 2,243 cases since the first outbreak in March 2020 of the COVID-19. There are currently 23 active cases, with 3 persons hospitalized. I wish you speedy recovery. We now go to the variants. Over the past few weeks, there have been results from the RIVM where COVID samples were genotyped. CPS informed the following has been identified: the Indian variant, UK variant, Brazil variant, and New York variant. In 24 samples this last week, it came back that 100% were of the UK variant. In a meeting with our French counterparts, as of May 4th, CPS was informed that on the French side, there's 1 case of the South African variant that was detected by a returning resident who traveled to Europe. Both sides of the island now have different variants. The public need to remain vigilant and observe the COVID-19 measures, guidelines, because everything's good, guidelines or risk resurgence. CPS is urging persons to contact 914 or to come to the drive-through testing, which is free and open to the public. As a reminder, the drive-through is not meant for persons who are testing prior to travel. The revised hours for 914 are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The drive-through, Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And by weekends, the drive-through is only available via appointments. I am happy to announce the new pop-up locations. CPS and VMT will continue to roll out into the communities this week. The new pop-up location will be in Belvedere on Saturday, May 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Belvedere Methodist Church. We thank the church and the pastor for allowing us to use their facilities for this pop-up. Please encourage persons, bring friends, family members, colleagues, everyone to be vaccinated. CPS and VMT request all persons walk through to walk with a photo identification so that you are registered and can be vaccinated. There are limited space and limited supply, so we encourage you, those who are interested, please contact 914. On behalf of CPS and VMT, I would like to express, which I did already, a heartfelt thank you to the minister and the congregation of the Belvedere Methodist Church. Along with the vaccination, I would like to stress to the undocumented, you are welcome to be vaccinated. Once you walk with your passport and have proof that you are here 4 months or longer, you are welcome to be vaccinated. You will not be targeted. At this time, the priority is the safety of the community from the COVID-19. I have to update on SZV. I am happy to inform the public that SZV will be making the change to the monthly pension schedule. The change is as following. The monthly AOV pension will be paid in advance on the 28th of each month, excluding public holidays and weekends. All pensioners with local bank accounts are expected to receive payment by the 28th of each month. Pensioners abroad and with international bank account will receive payment a few days later. This change will go into effect immediately. So upcoming month, June payment will be made on May 28, 2021. I am happy today to launch my vaccination campaign. Today is the official launch of the island-wide vaccination campaign called the Drive to 85, SXM Race to Normalcy. This campaign will be geared towards encouraging the community to go out and get vaccinated, that by the end of July 2021, we can achieve 85% to be qualified as herd immunity. As you can see, on the screen, we have our targeted amount. This will be our new campaign. On the screen, there's a targeted amount of 85%. I present to you today's number. We are at 22%. On the gauge, you will see it's at the yellow, orangish period. And as we vaccinate, we hope to make it to the dark green of 85%. I can go on record by saying many business owners, club owners, and public at large are asking, when will we go back to 4 a.m.? When will we go back to normal? I can tell you we will go back to normal when we reach 85%. Many people are asking about economic boosters as festivals and carnivals. There's even a famous video out right now, Dear Prime Minister, where the revelers are asking for carnival. I can tell you as Minister of Health, help us get to 85%, and the Prime Minister will unlock the gate to the carnival village. The calm, you don't like the blame alone. Help us get to 85%, and the calm, you'll have my support, we will unlock the gates to the carnival village. On a labor note, we are working diligently with ICT to open online portals for job opportunities where it will act as if like a monster.com where persons can upload their profiles and will be matched to fit their criteria in what the job seekers are looking for. The NESC has implemented a policy to protect local employers and employees effective June 1st. We will implement a 6-month trial period on this where all stakeholders will be involved to see what is going right and what can be adapted. The primary focus is to protect our local market and our local populations and decrease poverty within St. Martin. I thank you. I look forward to the questions of the media.
Thank you, Minister Otley, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Silveria Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Relaika. Good morning. Good morning to my colleague ministers. Good morning to the members of the press, listening and viewing audience. Welcome once again to our live Council of Ministers press briefing. As you can see, we have a new setup again, but once again, welcome to the press that is present here in our hall. As Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, I'd like to update on a couple of topics shortly, but I must reiterate that a written press release on some of the topics will be forthcoming as well. The Kingdom Council of Ministers proposed an initiative via the Prime Minister of the Netherlands about publicizing the agenda and decision points lists from the Kingdom Council of Ministers meetings. This came to our council, and as a council, we have agreed to support this initiative of the RMR, of the Kingdom Council of Ministers, as we feel it would then increase transparency and would require the RMR to be more concise and clear with the decisions that are taken whereby all can be held accountable. So as such, we applaud this effort and look forward to the increased transparency in kingdom relations. Also, in an update on the trajectory towards the COHO with regard to the Kingdom Consensus Law. As you know, technical discussions have been ongoing between the Kingdom partners. They've exchanged proposed changes to the Kingdom Consensus Law as a result of the advice of the Council of State. And the discussions will continue over into next week, May 10th and 11th, to move forward in terms of the framework and the timeline to deal with these changes. Further to that, it is also noteworthy to mention that if you have been following the dispute regulation, which has been highly and hotly contested over the past years, is being handled in the First Chamber of the Netherlands on July 1st. To that effect, our Minister Plenipotentiary Renee Vailinus has been invited, along with a delegation, to be present to present St. Martin's stance on the dispute regulation. Government will be engaging in discussions with Parliament, who have also established a motion for some members to go and represent St. Martin on this delegation. So in order to ensure that we have a cohesive position, we will be engaging with Parliament to ensure that proper preparations are made for the First Chamber meeting of July 1st, in which the members will be traveling. This week, in fact, tomorrow, the Department of BOC has been designated by me to represent the government in a webinar in preparation for the establishment of the plastic bag ban, which was an initiative of Parliament. The law, which is aimed at prohibiting the offering of single-use plastics, plastic straw, and styrofoam, is something that we wholeheartedly support as government and are doing all that we have to do on our end, as it requires some further work to move the law forward for implementation. As such, our Department of Interior and Kingdom Relations, which initiated a Plastic Free by 2023 initiative in collaboration with our French counterparts, will be participating in this webinar slated to take place tomorrow, May 6th, from 3 to 5. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all businesses to register and participate in the webinar so that you get as much information as possible related to how your companies can prepare for the move beyond plastics. St. Martin's, we all know the challenges we have with our landfill, and as much as we can do to minimize our the negative effects on our health, I believe, and especially in advance of the law that will be coming into place, we should all be prepared. Of course, consumers must also be prepared, and I know many already have moved over to using multi-usage bags for their grocery shopping and the like, but of course, in some instances, you can't always avoid it. Minimizing it is the best way forward, and as such, I commend the opportunity to update the general public and business community on this effort, and the Department of BOC representative will be representing government in this webinar. Also, from the Department of BOC, I must update also that there have been 4 envelopes that have been approved by myself as Minister of General Affairs, 4 projects. One is the food bank, a governance structure for the food chain supply of a national food bank, which is being funded through EU funding. The second is the Association Caribbean States, a strategy for building a tourism crisis in OCTs, that is in collaboration with other ministries as well. The CARIRI, a business hatchery program together with the Ministry of TIAT, and marine biodiversity, spatial management of the marine and coastal environment has also been approved. Once approval has been submitted to the Resembit program for funding, then this will be able to be presented as in terms of the execution thereof. So as government, these projects fall in line with our ambitions to build a more resilient island, so the food bank specifically collaborating with other OCTs in terms of building a resilient tourism structure, and of course, being surrounded by water, anything to do with marine biodiversity gets the, let's say, the funding. There's been a lot put forth for that, and I'm happy that we were able to put forth our first bid to receive funding for such. And I thank the Department of BAC for their initiatives in this regard. I would like to add my comments to that of the Minister of ASI. I must commend him for coming in and not just hitting the ground running, but literally moving at a pace that some people are amazed. I know a lot was already ongoing, but the minister's drive to 85 is wholly supported by the Council of Ministers. I want to remind the general public that though we have been blessed, especially getting the information of the number of variants already over the past few months on the island, that we have not had the type of outbreaks we've seen out there, despite what some may be saying about St. Martin being open and one of the more normal of the Caribbean countries where tourism is concerned. We're happy we're seeing an upsurge in our numbers of visitors as well, but we do not want to see this go the other direction. So even as we do our drive to 85, I would like to encourage the general public to continue to adhere to all of the practices that has kept us safe thus far. Businesses alike. I noticed that we're getting a bit more complacent. Servers in restaurants and other workers must always ensure that they are properly protecting themselves. And as we get closer to 85, and as a matter of fact, I know that businesses can together come up with strategies to encourage their workers to also vaccinate. And those of you out in the general public, look out for our pop-ups so that if you are unable to come to us at our locations at Bel Air and CPS right now, that we will be in the community. This is something we all have to do. Together, we can help St. Martin to come back, and I do look forward to us and the full recovery of the persons currently in hospital. This is quite personal for us, and we wish you all and the family much strength and a full recovery, and that no one else goes down that route as we continue to fight the COVID-19 pandemic as all around the world. We've seen what has happened in India. We've seen what has happened in Curacao. Even as Curacao is recovering today, it had a very heavy impact and still has on the individual lives that have been impacted with the number of persons that have passed away. We know what that is already. We do not want to go there any longer. We would really like to beat this. And so I encourage you, the more of us that get vaccinated, I can say now my Council of Ministers has been vaccinated. Nobody was forced. People took their times, and I understand that people are hearing a lot of negative things about the vaccination, but this is scientifically proven. This government would not be supporting something based on trials. This is not a trial, and we ask the general public to put your faith where we have put our faith in going to ensure that we have that 85% herd immunity. As such, of course, there are more topics that are out there, so I do look forward to any questions that may come from the media. And of course, any further information can also be sent in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening statements. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Thank you for joining us. We now move on to the question and answer session, but before we begin, I would like to inform that the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna Richardson, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Artwell Edion, the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication, the Honorable Ludmila De Weaver, as well as the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, the Honorable Egbert Doran, are all present, however, will not be making any opening statements, but is available for any questions the media may have. The floor is open, and I would like to invite Bibi Shah of SMN News. You have the floor.
Good morning, Ruleika. Good morning, ministers. My first question is to the Prime Minister as well as to the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ardwell, if you have anything that you can say towards this question. Yesterday, the court pronounced a verdict in the Henderson International against the government local and the Dutch government with regards to the contract that was taken away from Henderson and given to Smith Orloff. Prime Minister Jacob, I would like to know if your Council of Ministers, Jacob's 2 cabinet, have implemented what you call holding former ministers personally liable for decisions they have taken that would impact the coffers of government. At this moment, St. Martin do not have money. We are on our knees for money. And here, the decisions of a former minister and prime minister have cost us a whole lot of money. Can you tell us if you're implementing that process where you can hold the minister and former prime minister personally liable for the decisions they have taken?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Shah-Hodge. There is not something that we have to implement. As ministers, you have taken an oath, and you are basically responsible for decisions made. If you follow the proper process, then the personal liability, let's say, drops. However, if you did not follow the proper process or the official process, and it's not properly substantiated, you can be personally held liable. There's nothing we have to institute newly to make that possible. So if this is proven to be such a case, then COM will decide whether to follow up on it, but not that we have to institute a process for such.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, and thank you, Bibi. Go ahead, Bibi, with a follow-up.
Prime Minister, what's your opinion on the decision granted yesterday? Because, like I said, this is going to cost us money. And can you tell us how much money was spent to Smith Orloff? I know Henderson already got 100,000 guilders, and now government has to pay 125,000. Give us an update on this particular case and how it will affect government pockets.
My opinion in terms of this information was brought to the Council of Ministers' attention in our meeting yesterday. We didn't take a decision on it, so I would like the opportunity as a COM for us to deliberate, get all of the information you are asking for. Some of it is public, some of it is not, but it was not something that was current on our agenda. So it was information that was brought forth. The Minister of Finance can give you further information regarding the financial aspect.
Good morning, Ms. Shaw. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin and my colleagues, obviously. Your first question also related to the holding ministers liable for actions made. I do believe that at some point in time, especially depending on the actions that were made and the costs that the country will have to accept or be the burden of, that yes, at some point in time, we do need to make examples of probably former ministers for their actions and decisions. I've also seen some actions from within the last few years that were made, and things and processes that should have been done better or done properly. And the fact that you just could get away, I believe if you follow that path, it'll just continue to happen. So I believe just like our fellow citizens that also are accountable for their actions, at some point in time, we should be holding ministers accountable for their former actions also. Not specific to this case, obviously, just for all cases in general. In regards to the payment to Smith and Orloff, we did make a payment, I believe, already. I don't know the amount from the top of my head, but I know that since coming in as Minister of Finance, I have proceeded to pay a portion of the Smith and Orloff for sure. I can get confirmation after the press briefing.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you, Bibi, for the follow-up. I would now like to invite Stephen Cerulean of PJ82 Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to you, Prime Minister, Ministers. Good morning to you as well. My question is for the VSA Minister. Minister, during previous interviews, you stated that the labor issue you would have been looking into. on St. Martin. Since taking the oath of office, have you been privileged to meet with the Labor Department to discuss the employment situation on St. Martin? If yes, can you give us data into the current unemployment situation?
Thank you, Stephen Cerillion. Yes, I have met with the head of Labor Department and the Policy Department. One of our main focuses and request from my person to the Policy Department was to look into the short-term contracts and the loopholes that many employers use by laying off persons for a period of time and rehiring them. That's one of my priorities as I campaigned on this, and now I'm in a position to make the change. However, it won't happen immediately. It's something that we have to go and follow the correct legal process, have a conversation with our stakeholders, but it is on the table and it is on my to-do list. The next thing you heard me speak about is we went through unemployment statistical data with Ms. Dross. I can't give the exact figures, but one of the things that is alarming to me is that many of the unemployment requests, a high percentage, you have to label your education level, and a high percentage says uneducated. So my plan is to correlate with the Minister of Education, because what I realize in labor is not just a VSA problem. I think it ends at VSA, but we need to correlate with the Minister of Education and also implement more training programs for our youths to be more hands-on. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Otley, and thank you, Stephen, for the question. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown of BCN TV. You have the floor.
Good morning to the ministers today and the people of St. Martin. Question to the Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice, I hope you're aware that the total justice system are unhappy. After the different cuts, meaning no overtime benefits, and also, especially the police officers. We have seen right now they are very discouraged because they did not get up to now what they wanted. For instance, we can see very little police officers present on the street of St. Martin. They may not tell you, but because of collaboration and communication, I can tell you how they feel time to time, and is discouragement. What can you tell them so they can feel better and have more energy to conduct their daily work?
Good morning to my colleague ministers, to all persons that are tuned in, to the press. Mr. Brown, thank you for your question. First and foremost, I want to reiterate the fact that in your question, you indicated that there is quote unquote no overtime, and that statement is absolutely incorrect. It is not a matter that it is not, no overtime is being compensated to the personnel of the Ministry of Justice, but it is management. We have had cost-cutting measures that came about came after the minister made announcement that we have to control our spending. We have to manage the way we allocate any type of disbursement of funds, and we need to ensure that we do so to be able to safeguard. We speak about liquidity. And if we don't take steps and measures to ensure that we are spending the monies that we have to our disposal in a proper manner, it causes a problem for us across the board. So I want to correct you on that statement that there is no overtime. Overtime regulation indicated that after a certain amount of hours, the hours have to be provided with supportive signatures and documentation to confirm that the hours were worked. I am in constant communication with the Chief of Police. If you have seen the publication that came out earlier this week, it was indicated that a meeting was held between the Chief of Police, Carl John, as well as one of my legal advisors, Peggy Ann Brandon, for us to be able to start the necessary discussions and discovering how the Rexpositie of KPSM as well as immigration can be adjusted or a new one presented where fair compensation or more fair compensation can be done for overtime. So for example, I have right here in front of me the way that the law is currently written, and it says, the civil servant appointed to carry out the police task who is inadvertently assigned to work outside the duty roster laid down for him pursuant to Article 42 for at least 8 hours and not more than 12 hours per month shall receive a remuneration of 300 guilders a month. So the officer must work 8 hours in order to get the compensation, and it does not exceed 12 hours. However, if it is a case that the officer works between 12 to 32 hours, then the officer has an allowance of 750 guilders per month. Now, this is a Rexpositie that has been in place for quite some number of years. However, it did not come across as fair to much of the force, and so a draft was created and implemented which goes against the law that is in place. And as I stipulated from day one, while the minister is seeking to put things in proper order, we must apply the laws as they are. Now, I didn't write the laws. I came and I met them that way. It is just a matter of enforcement until we can rectify matters. Number one priority for the Ministry of Justice is to get the function book completed. Now that the function book has gone through the CCSU, the necessary reviews, and it's going to continue on the trajectory of the Council of Advice, etc., etc., I am redirecting my focus to have our discussions begin so that we can have a new LBHAM and the Rexpositie adjusted and all the necessary steps to be able to rectify this matter. So again, all steps and focus are there to ensure that the officers receive what they have to, but honesty must be the first when these discussions go on. These laws have been in place, and the minister is simply seeking to rectify situations and improve matters, but it all comes in a step-by-step basis.
Minister, it comes a time that when the Minister of Justice make agreement, it cannot change, that there's nothing the officers can do. If there is a condition from the Dutch, and you have to follow, there's nothing that the officer, they cannot appeal it, they cannot say, well, listen, no, presently now they're unhappy. So
I'm not even sure how to continue with you on that particular aspect. When you talk about any type of conditions that's coming in from the Dutch, that affects everyone. And there are, certain steps and measures that we can't tap into, where we can only cooperate to make sure that liquidity comes. But the steps and measures that the Minister of Justice has made was just for us to fall in line with what legal frameworks are in place and take the necessary steps from a legal perspective to ensure that we improve those. And that is what I'm doing. So I'm sorry that my officers feel the way that they do, but I agree. I again reiterate that the steps that I'm taking is to improve situations, and that we do it legally, and that we have budgets to support what must be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Lyndon. We now move on to the second round of questions. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relaika. How many rounds more do we have? Another one after this?
We'll have to determine the time. I'll let you know.
All right. Minister of VSR, there's a hot topic out there that I did not hear you address. And I'll ask you a two-part question. First, do you have consensus with the Minister of Justice that she will not, or her department or ministry will not go against the undocumented that you're calling out to go and get vaccinated? Is there a consensus between the two ministries for that? And the other hot topic that I really want to address today is the hiring of the new CEO for the St. Martin Medical Center. I just recently published a communique that was sent by the Windward Highland Healthcare Union to its members. They are planning to take actions. They're coming asking for a 10% increase because of the large payout that was given to the former CEO who was not in office for at least even more than 2 years, but he received a payout. And then this new director, I do not want to contest or say anything about where the person come from, but 30 hours flight to Little St. Martin. What background check was done for this person? And why would the foundation, St. Martin Medical Center, hire the only candidate that applied for the position and not extend the publication? Have you had meetings with these persons?
Thank you, Ms. Shah. First question, yes, I have had communications with the Minister of Justice, and we both understand the importance of this vaccination program. I think even before my time, it has been advertised that undocumented persons can be vaccinated, should be vaccinated, and I personally, in the presence of the Minister of Justice, would like to invite all documented persons that fall within the line, the 4-month period, once you can prove this, to be vaccinated at our pop-ups, at our locations, because right now the priority is the safety of the community. Second question is, I don't know if you saw the release. You probably did. You was a part of it. I had a meeting with the unions as soon as I came in. They expressed their concerns with me, and as I promised them, as I told them, I will not make any promises. I will assess the situation and then see if we can make an amicable solution before it gets too drastic, as it is on the verge to be. I actually, after press briefing, have a meeting with SMMC where I will have the full details. I can ask the questions, and then I will be better able to give you a detailed and accurate answer.
Thank you.
Sir, in your meeting
Phoebe, unfortunately,
shortly after.
seeing that she had a two-part question, we're
No,
going
but
to
this
go
is
ahead.
a follow-up to his meeting.
Go ahead.
Very important. Since you're having a meeting, do you intend to ask the board of SMMC about the appointment of the member that was appointed shortly after the former minister of VSR got the motion of no confidence? He applied, he put his former cabinet staff on the board that is taking all decisions at SMMC. Are you planning to address that?
Well, Bibi, I have a list of questions that I wrote down during my meeting with the unions, and I will address all of these issues. One of the things that I will address too is the process in which the new director is to be appointed. It's not appointed. Nothing has even reached my desk as yet. It's not official from what I heard. It's an evaluation. But I will determine this in my meeting today to get the full details on how the process went exactly and move forward from there.
Thank you, Minister Otley, and thank you, Bibi. I would now like to invite Stephen Cirillion. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. My question is for the Minister of Finance, and of course, I will tag the Minister of Justice to the very same question. What we have been seeing, because the 28th of February was the deadline for persons to make payment to receiving their license plate. What we have been seeing is the fact that we have so many yellows, I call them, still driving around on the roads. What's been done to curb that situation, ministers?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Cirillion. We are going to continue controls and promoting the fact that you are late with your payments. Controls should be organized very shortly, and I encourage all of those that still do not have the new number plates to still come in and pay. We've also had discussions in the former meeting that I had with the French authorities to also update them on what the current plates are and so forth, so that they are also aware on the French side on what our new plates are, so that when they do controls, they can also be current.
Thank you, Minister Eden, and thank you, Stephen. I would now like to invite Lyndon. You have the floor.
Question to the Prime Minister.
Lyndon, One moment, Minister Richardson, you
I'm
have the
getting
floor.
that look from Cerulean, like I asked you also. No, indeed, Mr. Cerulean, we await the green light from the Minister of Finance as to when he's ready for the controls to begin, and Justice will be doing such. But as he so said, I will reiterate, I think it is on the onus of the owners of the vehicles to do what is necessary and not wait until controls take place. So that will be coming up pretty soon as we get the green light.
Thank you, Minister Richardson. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Okay.
Lyndon, you have the floor. You can proceed. You can
Question
proceed.
to the Prime Minister. And this question can tag between Minister De Wever and the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, you said just now that the vaccine is not a trial, but there was a presentation from DICOM and where all the doctors and give their analysis on the matter. Well, they have been said the vaccine is a trial and the vaccine also is a test. I know you're not a medical practitioner, but between both of you, can you make some clarification to that matter? Because most of the time you're here, I have the video. Is it a test? And also, you mentioned that the vaccine saved life. So you mentioned also the vaccine saved life. Can you make some clarification on this matter between both of you, ministers?
Thank you for that. I don't know where you're getting that information, Mr. Brown.
I have the video.
Department of Communications is part of the VMT, the Vaccination Management Team, which means they are actively working together with the Ministry of VSA, with all of the others who form part of that team to encourage the people of St. Martin. It is not mandatory, but to encourage the people of St. Martin to get vaccinated. So we have, just as we did since March last year, putting out bulletins, putting out briefs via social media, videos and the like. We have done our due diligence, gone out in the community with speakers and cars to encourage people. I have, while we were in the midst of the pandemic, and that came up also, promoted that it didn't matter as long as you were living on St. Martin, we needed everyone protected. It doesn't matter anymore whether you're documented or undocumented. That was clarified over and over again. We are busy now. We've come through the roughest part. Hopefully we are not going back there, seeing that we have had the variants 4 months already without the outbreaks as other countries. However, to guarantee that the spread does not continue, having a level of herd immunity on the island is what gives us a feeling of safety. So I don't know where you hear me say that the vaccine will make you safe.
Save life. I have that.
Mr. Brown, please do not interrupt. In the meantime, the minister is busy with his campaign. We are supportive as a council of ministers of this campaign because our economy, despite what has been done, has been heavily impacted, not just because of us having to lock down at certain times, but because of other countries locking down from us, because of other countries not being able to travel, and our mainstay still being tourism. So the government of St. Martin has never promoted any negative conspiracy theories regarding this vaccination. And as a matter of fact, education has been the key. Information sessions, there's our website with all of the information, and it is there for all who are willing to read or go back and look at videos and the like. So I'm not going to be addressing, Mr. Brown, any further allegations that as government, we are saying that anything different to what is being promoted via the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I would now like to invite Minister Otley.
Thank you, Relaika. Just for the public, I would like to inform you that anyone that has questions or seek answers about the vaccine, to tune into the information session that will be broadcast by DCOM. It will have myself, the Ministry of Public Health, VMT, CPS, May 11th at 7 p.m. Here we will address all the issues, all the queries about the vaccine, and hope to inform the public much better.
Thank you, Minister Otley. Minister DeWeaver, did you have anything to add by any chance, as Mr. Brown did direct it to your person and Prime Minister?
Good morning, everyone. I do not have anything to add because I believe it's the purview of the Minister of VSA, and maybe there may have been a confusion with my sister, who is the epidemiologist. So I have nothing further to add. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister DeWeaver. We now move on to the third and final round of questions. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relika. Minister of Justice, Ms. Richardson, can you tell me exactly how long does it take for a person to obtain a certificate of good conduct? I've had quite a number of people that are waiting as much as 3 to 6 months for such. There are government-owned companies such as PJIE. Unless you have a certificate of good conduct, you're not able to obtain your security entry pass. There are people waiting for this, almost some of them 3 months at home, and still can't get their certificate of conduct. So can you tell us how long does it take, what is the delay, and what can be done to rectify this situation?
Thank you, Mrs. Hodge Shaw, for your question. Your question though sounds a bit of what we were experiencing quite some months ago, or maybe a year ago, that we have been able to rectify within recent. What I would say though is, if you're able to share with me specific names that I can do my own research to see or confirm the time frame that they have been waiting, I would appreciate that. But the process in itself is as follows. The responsibility to be able to provide that background information comes from the prosecutor's office, and in this regard, the prosecutor St. Martin is dealing with the information system that is based in Curacao, where all the information is housed. That process in itself does take some time, but as I said, I would like the opportunity to receive those names so that I can do my own research and confirm the time period they've been waiting before I can give any further update on that.
When you say sometime, how long? What time frame to actually get one?
It should take about, I believe the law stipulates 14 business days, but there was a backlog. As I said before, I know that the process has become more smooth. The backlog was updated. So that's why I'm saying if you provide me with the names, I would be able to do my own research to confirm and have a better response for you back then.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Bibi. I would now like to invite Stephen. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. So many questions, so little time. I guess I'll have to go to the Minister of Rummy. Minister, the hurricane season is quickly approaching. What's been done with the old government building and, of course, the post office? We knew that plans were being put in place to demolish those two buildings.
Good morning, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, Rolika, members of the media, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. Thank you for your question, Stephen. Coincidentally, I had a meeting earlier, right before the press briefing, just to confirm the release date for the new schedule of the demolition of the former government building. The schedule will be released on Friday, so that it will come out in the media, and the intention is to get that done as soon as possible. Of course, you know, we have a liquidity issue in terms of tight constraints in our spending. So you have to basically pick and choose your priorities, which is what we're busy doing right now as a ministry and as a government on a whole. And that will be publicized, and that is definitely a priority for me, because I'm sure you saw the draft plans of what we intend to put there. Nothing is written in stone, so there's still room for tweaking as a council and in collaboration with all the relevant stakeholders. So that is definitely a number one priority for me and for the ministry. So you will be receiving a clear update in terms of the dates of the bidding and all the different things to be able to demolish the building. So we're talking about the former government building, the post office building. The library was included but was taken back out. That will be handled by the NRPB with the project. And the Justice building in Colbert, the Sorma building. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Minister Doran, and thank you, Lyndon, Stephen, my apologies for the question. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Last question to the Prime Minister again. Prime Minister, recently there was protests with the airport workers and their union against Mr. Mingo. And you said recently, Prime Minister, that when the airport workers or the board cannot solve the problem, well, of dismissing Mr. Mingo, the minister have the final analysis. If I'm out of touch, you can make it straight. Now, Mr. Mingo is out of a job, Minister, and still the airport workers are still upset. And what is the alternative, Minister? Who gonna supersede Mr. Mingo? So that question could tag between you and the Minister De Wever and Prime Minister.
Mr. Brown, I think you must be very careful stating what people have stated in your questioning. More than once, you've been corrected that that hasn't been the case in just today's briefing. However, I will just give a general statement regarding airport. The airport is a government-owned company that has a structure of a holding company and an operating company. Each of these companies have supervisory boards and managing directors. The management of the operations is the CEO, CFO, and COO previously, as you know, and steps have been taken in that regard. As shareholder, so above the holding company, we will be having necessary meetings to ascertain what has taken place within government's company. As government, we are ultimately responsible for what goes on. So we have to receive reports in order to act. We are at that stage. So certain authorities belong by the holding company, some belong by the operating company, and others belong by government. As government, I don't know where you got that statement about the minister will finally decide. So I leave that for the Minister of Teyat. But as a council of ministers, we are totally, as a group, responsible for whatever happens in the end at the operating as well as the holding company. Ultimately responsible, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So if we are doing our due diligence to ensure that good corporate governance is taking place and whatever steps are there within our civil code as well as the articles of incorporations, it will be handled. However, the insinuations being made by your person are not in keeping with the reality. Minister Teyat?
Thanks, Prime Minister. Thanks, Mr. Brown. I think the Prime Minister answered that sufficiently. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister De Wever. Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. And thank you, Lyndon, for the final question. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Thank you for joining us. For any further questions, you can send those in writing to the Minister's Cabinet. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. For rebroadcast, tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, the YouTube channel Government of St. Martin, and St. Martin Cable TV channel 115. For video on demand, log on to the government's official YouTube page at Government of St. Martin. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rolika Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.